はい、本日も放課後ティータイムが始まりました。Hi everyone, where you said 放課後 tea time! Welcome to episode 1 of the University of Sydney's 放課後 tea time. 始める前にまず Acknowledgement of Country をしたいと思います。どうぞお願いします。
Today we are meeting on Gadigal land. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. The Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. 今日私たちはガディガルの土地に返しています。この土地を代々受け継ぎ守ってきたエオラネーションのガディガルの人々を尊重し、学校および現在、そしてその後継者となる人々に慎んで敬意を表します。
はい、ありがとうございます。Houkago Tea Time is a fortnightly podcast organized by Sydney University's Japanese Studies Department, run by Japanese Studies students, made for all students interested in Japanese culture. Before we get into the episode, let's go around and introduce our hosts for today. こんにちは、セイラです。今日はアイスラテを飲みます。Hi, I'm Sarah, and today I'm drinking an iced latte.
こんにちは、モディです。今日はユーズアメリカノを飲みます。Hi, I'm Modi, and today I'm drinking yuzu americano.
こんにちは、マチルダです。今日は蜂蜜ユーズティーを飲みます。Hi, I'm Matilda. Today I'm drinking honey yuzu tea.
Settle in and get comfy and grab a drink with us. Today we are talking about Japanese language education.
So, I've been learning Japanese for 6 years, I suppose. I started in year 9 in high school and I'm a third year university student now. I study linguistics, so I really love languages. And in year 8, I had been learning French, and then something overcame me. I can't tell you. I literally just woke up one day and was like, I must study Japanese. So that's my story. That's why I started learning Japanese. No particular beginning. I just thought it made sense to me. And I really loved the sound of it, and I really wanted to learn it. And here I am now today. So that's me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. That's super interesting. So I have a bit of an interesting relationship with Japanese because I'm actually half Japanese. So as a child, I was attending Saturday school and I was learning some conversational Japanese with my family. But I only really formally started learning Japanese a little bit in high school. And then I stopped because I didn't take it for the HSC. And then I began taking it as a major for university. So I would say I've only really been formally learning it for about 5-ish years in total. But yeah, I have a little bit of extra background, like I said, when I was a child.
Yeah, I wanted to learn Japanese when I was in primary school because I'm so obsessed with detective novels and animation like Detective Conan. But Chinese and English are the only options for language learning at that time in China. And after I came to Australia, our high school has Japanese course, so I chose it as a selective. And fortunately, I've heard students can choose other languages such as Japanese and Russian in Chinese school now.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
And the language of instruction is English for me because I learned it in Australia. But actually, it's two. My first language is Chinese, so actually English and Japanese are, I need to learn both. So, but it is good because I think English is more clear, can provide more clear explanation for Japanese grammar or vocabulary, because Chinese is similar to Japanese. It has some unclear, ambiguous explanation. So if I learn Japanese in Chinese, I might find it not clear on some point. My high school teacher is also Japanese, so she's a native speaker of Japanese. So actually, it's very similar to our university mode. They taught us in Japanese, actually.
Right, so it was primarily taught in the language itself in Japanese.
Yeah, that's interesting. When I came to university, straight out of high school, I was put into quite a high level of Japanese class, which is Japanese 7, in which all the teachers are speaking Japanese to us pretty much. Even some keigo was mixed in there, and I had never heard the word irasharu before, and I was like, what does this even mean? I don't know what's happening. This really pushed me to understand Japanese more in the context, and it's so great for your listening skills, and I reckon it's really great for your comprehension of the language to learn it in the perspective of the language itself. But definitely as a beginner learning in English, especially as a high school student, you don't have as much time to be as motivated and commit so much time to a certain subject you're taking. So learning in English was beneficial for quick and easy access to understanding nuance of language. Whereas university, it's my major. So obviously I dedicate more time to understanding it through Japanese and through the eyes of the Japanese language.
I think that's really interesting the way you described it as like a quick and easy access, because definitely some of the units that are Japanese language units here at the university, we have it split up for some of the lower levels in terms of reading, grammar, and communication. And the majority, communication is primarily just taught in Japanese, and we have conversations with our professors in Japanese only. But the reading, I think, is an interesting unit for me specifically, because often the structure of those lessons, we get a Japanese text and then we are translating that into English, at least for the lower levels. We're translating that into English rather than rewording it into simpler Japanese words, or understanding it in Japanese, which we do in 9 and 10, which are the higher advanced courses. And I think what you said, quick and easy access, that is essentially what it's trying to achieve. We're trying to get the meaning very quickly based on a language that we are primarily taught in, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. I really think that native speaker teachers have this unconscious insight into language that is really hard to get, or almost unreachable as a learner of a language, because they have that kind of innate connection with language, as it's the language of their heart, of their mind, of their daily life. So that's great. It's great for reception of pronunciation and those kinds of listening, speaking skills. But I really think I'd love to emphasize that non-native speakers have this great insight into experience of learning language and experience of not understanding some kind of intuitive grammar and what it's like to be a learner and what the struggles might be. So yeah, I think both are really great.
Yeah, and I think the native speaker teacher, they also can share some interesting cultural knowledge with us besides the class content. And I think interest is the best way to trigger learning motivation for students. And for the non-native teachers, I think they are also good because they also, like Japanese learners, they understand our difficulties to learn Japanese and can provide us clear explanation, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't know if you both have this experience, but in high school, often what they do is they play fun videos, or am I talking about something you don't know? Yes. But it's basically every week our teacher would either share some sort of interesting cultural aspect, maybe it was Kodomo no Hi, so the teachers would talk about the cultural significance of that holiday. Or they would play a video in class that is a funny Japanese video to try and get the students engaged in the actual content.
I mainly remember the Tet Form song.
Yes,
Do we all know that?
yes.
Ichirite, bibibinde. Yeah, I sing that song in my head in Japanese tests.
Right, and it's still a useful way of remembering the Tet Form.
100%.
Yeah.
It's so great. I love you, Tet Form song. So we have all finished our Japanese 10 education. So that's great, fantastic. The scary thing is there are no more Japanese units for us to take at the University of Sydney for language units, which is a bit scary. We've all been thrown out into the real world of Japanese. The only place now for us to go is to use it in Japan. So that's super cool. I'm super proud of all of us for graduating from that Japanese 10. Good job, everybody. Yay!
Celebrate.
But we're on our own now. We're on our own language journeys. How are we finding that?
Okay, so at the moment, I've put a little pause on my Japanese self-study because I've been focusing on my other degree, which is law. And currently I'm taking 4 law units, which is a lot in terms of the workload. But I am, I guess, preparing or studying for the JLPT eventually, which is interesting because it's different to the way that we've sort of approached Japanese language learning in uni, where in university it's more of a focus on a communication of ideas and understanding like real world texts almost and stuff like that. Whereas the JLPT is very much a system or an exam style structure. So the JLPT itself is only consisting of multiple choice questions. It's testing your ability to understand kanji and to read through texts and then essentially answer comprehension questions. So it's a very directed, standardized test to work towards, which I think is beneficial in the sense that you have textbooks and you have some sort of goal to work towards. But I think if you wanted to engage with Japanese as a language now, having just finished Japanese 10, you can simply just read books, read articles, watch news shows or some like J-dramas or something like that, and simply just engage with the language and culture as someone who understands it or has a greater understanding of it.
There are so many things available for you outside of class to study Japanese. It's just so important to contact language somewhere outside of your class. Even if you are taking a class and you take 3 hours per week, I just think it's so great. Like, pick up a book, watch a show, watch some anime, talk to a friend, find new friends, go to Wasabi, go to our Japanese language cafe. Like, it's so good and it so helps with motivation, and that's what keeps me motivated, I think.
I do want to briefly ask, Mori, are you currently self-studying Japanese, or do you have any plans to self-study?
Oh, actually, I'm currently doing my honors year, and I on the field of Japanese. So I kind of like work with the native speakers now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so, and also I have Japanese friends if you're listening, and from Bunkyo University and Tohoku University and other universities like Waseda. So we practice like English and Japanese, and we help each other to study something new from different languages.
Yeah.
So lovely.
Yeah.
That it's almost like an exchange.
Yeah, like exchange.
100%. I think that's what made language speaking, like as an introvert, when I discovered one day that the way I was going to be confident in speaking Japanese would be to just speak Japanese was like kind of like a shock horror. It's like, what do you mean I have to speak to strangers to get better at speaking to strangers? So I joined the program. I forced myself to join the Waseda program, and then suddenly like I realized that it's an exchange. Like, they're learning English, you're learning Japanese, and because you exchange something that feels really scary, like you're both being exposed the same amount to each other, and that makes it so doable. And I seriously like went from in Japanese 7, I think I said one word the entire semester. I said the word katachi, I think. Like, that was it. I did the exchange program, the language exchange program, and then I did Japanese 8, and suddenly I was speaking so much more and I had so much more confidence. So just get out there and speak the language. Unfortunately, that's the only way.
Right, but I also think there's the beauty in that learning a language helps you develop skills in just other areas as well, or make you learn things about yourself that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Which I think is really lovely.
It's really lovely. Yeah.
Interesting.
We love Japanese.
I'm sure you can tell.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have some messages from some friends that we're going to read out about their language learning journey. Let's go. Our first message is from Ria, who is Indonesian and is from Institute Technology of 10 November. Thank you for your message. I want to study Japanese because I want to continue my master's in Japan later, so of course I need to work hard for my Japanese lessons. For learning, I usually just learn by myself, but if I have a Japanese teacher, the most language that I'll be comfortable with is of course Bahasa Indonesian and English. I feel like listening to music and watching movies, TV series is also a big part of my language journey in the same way as English. I can get used to some conversations and how you speak based on that experience. Japanese is really interesting for me because I love Japan. I feel like Japan is a comfortable country for some people. Also, the biggest reason why I want to learn Japanese is because I want to continue my study there in the future, so I need to know the language first. Thanks for your message, Ria.
Thank you.
I totally agree with the watching shows and TVs. It's so great for our language learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so I have a message from Minji from Yonsei University, and I will read out their message now. Hi everyone, my name is Minji and I am a South Korean studying at Yonsei University. I grew up in Singapore and Shanghai, so I can speak English and Mandarin in addition to Korean. I've been studying Japanese for about a year now, and I started learning because I've been thinking about working in Japan in the future. My interest in the language also grew every time I visited Japan because it sounds so sweet and elegant. In the beginning, I used Korean textbooks and online classes to study because Korean and Japanese are alike in so many ways. For example, our grammar, our sentence structures, and a lot of the vocabulary are similar, which makes it way easier to learn the language as a beginner. However, I recently switched to using English resources because there's a lot more free content available online. I've also felt that knowing Mandarin helps a lot in learning kanji because the characters are almost exactly the same. My ultimate goal is to be comfortable enough with the language to be able to live and work comfortably in Japan.
Wow, what an interesting perspective.
This is super interesting because they also mentioned how there's more English resources online.
Free.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
true.
I hadn't thought of that.
Resources, right.
On YouTube.
Mori,
find-
when you look up resources for understanding Japanese, do you tend to use a Chinese dictionary or an English dictionary to explain Japanese for you?
I think sometimes I use Chinese, but most of the time I use English because I learn in English. So if I use
I see.
Chinese, maybe I can't understand.
Yeah. So your perspective of
interesting.
Japanese
Yeah.
comes from English more so than
Yeah.
yeah. How interesting. That's super cool.
Right. I also use the English resources in an English dictionary, but then I've started thinking that maybe it's better to use Japanese resources
Yeah.
and actually try and learn
Yeah.
in the language. I was in Japan recently. Sorry, side note. I was in Japan recently and I was looking through bookstores and stuff. And in the section for Japanese language learning resources, there were actually textbooks for the JLPT in different languages. So
Oh, wow.
I noticed there was a lot of Japanese and Vietnamese,
Vietnamese, okay.
which was really interesting. Obviously Japanese and English, there was also Japanese and Korean. But if you're in a very popular touristy sort of city, then I think you will have resources in
Yeah.
bookstores and stuff.
Interesting. That's super cool.
Next message is from a Chinese student from Yangzhou University, and he wrote it in Japanese. So I'll read it in Japanese. 皆さんこんにちは。私は中国出身で揚州大学の1年生です。今は科学教育を参考しています。私は中国語、英語と日本語が話せて一番得意な外国語は日本語だと思います。中国人だからもちろん中国語で日本語を勉強しています。子供の頃から日本語に興味を持っています。そして高校の時、英語の代わりに日本語を勉強する機会があるから、そのまま日本語を選びました。先生も中国人で、ほとんど中国語で授業をしてくれたし、時々日本語で話します。まだ高校の授業は文法的な分野が一番多いです。去年の冬休みは日本の東北大学の文化交流プログラムに参加して日本を母校にする先生に出会いしました。なんというかやっぱり日本人の先生はずっと生粋の表現とアクセスを持っています。それだけでなく私自身の聴解力や会話力やなどの能力も上達になりました。
私も短期留学参加したんだけど本当に役に立ってましたね。
2人ともその日本語で交流プログラムの経験がありますよね。
はい、私もあります。東北大学のプログラム、水さんと一緒に参加した。一緒に。
すごい。
友達だから。東北大学のプログラムは、先生たちは、いろんな日本社会のルールを教えてもらって本当にありがとうございます、
どんなルールを学びましたか？
例えば名刺を交換 交換する時のルール、
はいはいはいはいうん、
両手で交換し
両手でやって
て、
すごい、
まあ、礼儀正しいです。
あと敬語学びましたか？
敬語も学びました。でもすごく難しいと思います。
難しいですよね。
高校の時に2ヶ月日本語留学をしたんだけど、高校の時だったのでほぼなんか授業を受けていたんだけど、でもあんまりなんか先生たちも質問を聞いていなかったし、なんか私も宿題とかもやる必要もなかったので、その勉強する留学プログラムではなかった。普通になんかただ学校を
ただ
楽しめる体験でした
幸せ
だったんだけど、私はなんだろう、他の友達はそのひらがなの練習とかをしてたんだけど、私はなんだろう、頑張ってその授業を聞きながら質問を答えた時もあった。
で普通の高校でしたよね。
そう
でそれは難しかったですか？その日本語ネイティブの高校生の授業だったので。
科目によりました。
そうですよね。
その時はもう私は科学を勉強していなかったので、数学もあんまり興味なかったしまあ聞くのが楽しかった科目はその英語と歴史も楽しかった。でもその中に古典、Ancient Japanese も学んだ経験があったんだけど、普通に何もわからなかった。
確かになんか日本語だけじゃなくてとっても古い日本語で、まあ日本人でもわからない気がするので多分大丈夫です。まあ私の高校の時は留学の機会があって、でもコロナウイルスがあって本当に残念だけど行けなかったんです。まあね、大学に入ってなんか自分の日本語に自信を持つようになって、本当に関西に行った時、短期留学した時はちょうどよかった、私のレベル。なんか
関西のはやっぱり関西弁を
関西弁はまあね、ちょっとなんか
基本的な
スラング使ったら恥ずかしいです。若者言葉も母語話者じゃないので本当になんか違和感ですよね。気まずくなると思うので、その日本人はなんでこのオーストラリア人はペラペラ日本語話せなくてもこのスラングとかいっぱい使うのか。
でもその方がより面白いんじゃない？
面白い。
そうだと思う。
私もそうと思う。
なんか英語を学んでいた人が急にマックスみたいな感じで言ったら普通に面白いと思う。
Oh my god とか
びっくりした。
面白いんだけど怖いんです。
怖い
そのスラングなんか間違えたらやばいよねいつかその関西弁話すようになりたいんだけど、まだ標準語最初に学びます期待しないでください
多分同じように英語を学んでいる方がオーストラリアに来た時にオーストラリアのその発音とかも違う。ちょっとアメリカとイギリスとちょっと違うので、そういう面白い経験もあると思います。
確かにいいと思う。 So, like we will do at the end of every episode, we're going to have a little game. Yay! Today, we are doing tongue twisters in Japanese. So, please listen kindly onto us as we fumble with these silly little words and do our best. So, let's go. What's number one? We're going to say it slowly firstly. Let's start with something easy.
Yeah.
So the first one is namamugi, namagome, namatamago. We're going to say it 3 times, okay? Sarah,
Wait,
do you want to go
it one by one or all
Yeah, one by one.
Do it. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Let me say it slowly first, and then I'll try saying it quickly, so I can't give any promises. Namamugi, namagome, namatamago. Okay, all right. Namamugi, namagome, namatamago. Namamugi, namagome, namatamago. Namamugi, namagome, namatamago.
Perfect!
I did say it a little bit slowly, but
Okay. もうちょっと早かったら。
Yeah, let's do it. 生麦生米生卵生麦生米生卵生麦生米生卵 Yeah. I'm a rapper.
Okay. ちょっと遅く。
頑張ってね。
生麦生米生卵。Okay. 生麦生米生卵。わーしうわ生麦生米生卵。生麦生米生卵。生麦生米生卵。
Wow!
Okay, 次行こう。
Oh my god.
難しそう。
坊主が屏風に上手に坊主絵を描いた。で、セーラーさんから。
I don't even know if I can say this slowly. 坊主が屏風に上手に坊主絵を描いた。Okay, 頑張ります。坊主が屏風に上手にどういう坊主が屏風に上手に坊主に
惜しい。
I'll just say it once.
Yeah.
Let me try and say it once at this point. 坊主が屏風に上手に坊主絵の坊主が屏風に上手に坊主の絵を描いた。
惜しい、惜しかった。
Okay. 坊主が屏風に上手に坊主絵を描いた。
Okay.
ほっとした。
坊主が屏風に上手に坊主絵を描いた。
Wow, impressive.
Okay, ちょっと待って。
No.
It's too long.
なんか東京の東京なんかあるかな。
あるかも。
これ
これ。絶対これ。
見るかな。
頑張ります。
これ
最初に東京特許許可局長。違う。え？ちょっと待って。
東京特許許可局長。
Wow.
東京特許許可ちょっと待って。東京特許許可局長。
いやー、よくできました。
Yeah, fancy. Oh, my turn. 特許局長。Oh, I did it? Did I? I'm not sure.
Okay. 東京特許許可局長。
ありがとう、局長。
Okay.
Okay.
じゃあできました。
できました。
終わりま
難し
した。
かったよね。
難しかったですよね。
本当に。
まあ頑張りましたね。
頑張りました。本当に。So before we end, we'd like to introduce a little bit of a quiz segment.
Yes.
Just to see if you've been listening to our previous episodes. So your quiz question for this episode is, what drink was Nixon drinking in episode 0?
Ooh, I wonder. Please leave a comment if you will. And I'm sorry you don't get a prize or anything, but
You win our admiration.
yes,
Yes.
our admiration.
本日シドニー大学放課後ティータイムエピソード1いかがでしたか？
If you want to stay updated, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our Instagram USYD time. That is at USYD.teatime. We hope you enjoyed chilling with us today and look forward to seeing you next time.
では本日のエピソードを聞いていただきありがとうございました。また次のエピソードでお会いしましょう。せーの、またねー。